Hello and welcome to today's training. It's going to be about segments and goals and how you can use them in your analytics to make better decisions in your content and your content sharing on different platforms. My name is Irene and I am the marketing strategist at Rumble Media, an agency I started 9 years ago after getting absolutely pissed off with having to spend $5,000 every 2.5 years to build a new website for my business because the tech had updated so fast. And what I realized that as the years progressed and I went from Shopify, the first Shopify store, like literally the first Shopify store that was out there. Actually, I started an Easy Merchant in 2001, and then I ended up doing a degree in 2012. And recently, in the past 12 to 18 months, actually it's been 24 months, I have niched into doing Google Ads and analytics, but I have dipped my toes in everything from SEO, content generation, email marketing, Facebook marketing, etc. So I bring all that knowledge into Rumble Media to help the people that I work with make smarter decisions faster with better data. Okay, so back to segments and goals. So we've got, every business has at least 3 to 4 segments of people who come to your business and they're interested in different products and services that you offer in your business. Now, if you're a startup or you've been going for 2 to 5 years and you haven't really looked at your analytics too much, you are beyond, page views and big goals, then you are going to learn some really cool shit today. So let's jump into it. And start discussing how we're going to set up your goals in particular. Well, now there's different journey. Very rarely, only 5% of your people are actually going to convert on the first visit. So you got 95% of your people that are in the awareness and consideration stage. So that's where a lot of your optimization can actually happen. So and then being able to optimize that is by retargeting or getting people on your newsletter. And Google more and more is rewarding businesses that create good content. So if you have great copy but a terrible layout on your page, then or not enough images or not enough of the right media or the font's too small, etc., you can actually identify through smart tracking how to identify where people are dropping off in the awareness and consideration stage. Now, we call our goals a different kind of goal of, stages of goals. We use an acronym called ACE, and it actually is aware, engaged, and converted. So in the aware and engaged, this says consideration, but most people know this graphic about where people are in your funnels. They have different conversations and different pieces of information that they're looking for, whether it's testimonials, whether it's examples, whether it's a little sneak under the hood. Each different product and service has a different way of getting people from one stage to the end stage, whether it's onto your newsletter, whether it's filling out a form, whether it's buying something. And this is where we're going to talk a little bit about, before you go doing any tracking, you've got to ask yourself key questions of what you're going to do with this new information. Like if you are looking at your existing data and you can see that people don't spend on average 5 pages on your website, they don't see 5 pages on your website, then you're going to choose something. You're going to look for patterns and trends that are already in your data, your analytics, so that you can actually set some goals, engagement, or it's your engagement goal. That would be that one, and something that's going to tell you, yes, this is happening, but you want to get to 5 pages, so you can do your 5-page goal and your 3-page goal, so you can see where you are now and when the change has happened. A really good business coach I saw in Austin, Texas, when I went over there 4 or 5 years ago, he said there's a really key tool in identifying that you're moving your business in the right direction. He talks about moving the needle in your business, and I love that terminology because good business happens incrementally over time. So you want to make those little changes that's going to move the needle in your business. And one of those is looking at where you're at now and where you want to be and how are you progressing? Are you moving towards it or you're moving away from it? And when you track things, when you're doing your tracking in a way that gives you the information that you need to be able to identify how to get closer to it, that's a really, really important objective to how we set up tracking. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to talk about Google Analytics as your main tool in segmenting. Now, there are other tools out there, but most people, when they're starting a business or just based on where they're at in the growth of their business, analytics is what they're going to work with or what they've chosen to work with because it's where they're at. And, you know, having Google Analytics set up properly is a really key foundational tool. So if you haven't got your analytics set up properly in the first place, it's a really good place to start because it's like the bank. It's the storage. And so this is what Google naturally captures. It captures every single click on your page. And it will, in there, you will have the people who are into you and the people who are not into you. And when you start setting up goals and segments, you get to see, oh, you know what, these people spend less than 10 seconds on my page. You know, they haven't really been introduced to my brand, so they don't even know my brand yet, you know, and they didn't scroll, etc. So, you know, do you want to retarget to those people? Probably not. Unless it was on a high value landing page, then nah, let those guys go. Then the next one could be, you know what, these ones were low engagement, but they saw a couple of pages, you know. So whatever you decide to be your marker for those different levels of low, medium, high engagement on your website, then that is how you're going to segment them out into pools and track. This is a really key way that I use this for my clients is I set up these goals around these different type of behaviors, and then I use the source medium report in Google to show me, is there a pattern in trend? Does YouTube work for me? Does Facebook work for me? Does email work for me? So, you know, which one most people email works for you. That's where it does the heavy lifting of converting, but you want to get those people from out there in the internet, you know, and get them to consider you, especially if when they're engaging with your content, they're showing signs that they're interested, but they need something more. And that could be a retargeting campaign, which is the main way. If they don't sign up to a newsletter on the first visit, that's going to be the main way that you're going to get them to come back, unless you are constantly posting in the social media channels that they came to you from in the first place. That would be another way that you would get those people back. That's why finding out what your engaged user looks like and being able to identify which platform they come from is really key for you to get their attention back again by producing content and talking about your products or services in a way that gets them to come back and maybe sign up that next time. And when you do that and you're tracking your conversion goals or your high engagement goals, inevitably you're going to start seeing, especially when you go over to your source medium report, you're going to start seeing patterns and trends in your clicks. And when you can read a report like that, you can answer some key questions from your data. So where are my users coming from? What results am I getting? And how am I getting those results? You know, where are they at in the journey? And then if you're doing paid ads, it's like, are my Facebook ads worth it? Is there inconsistent reporting? You know, so that if you see inconsistent reporting between Facebook and Google Analytics, it's an attribution issue, and that's something else, you know, beyond the scope of this training. But Google Tag Manager does solve that problem because there is this it's a known fact that Facebook attribution can be a little bit off because they like to give themselves we cause that conversion tick. So why we segment is we want to start getting to know who those engaged and aware users are when it comes to your buckets and segments. So how you would do that is your offer pages or themes in your blogs, and finding out, wow, these people here are coming from this channel and they're interested in this topic. Then I would go back and say, you know what, we need to talk about this more on YouTube. We need to talk about this more on Instagram. And then what you're doing is you're looking at, hey, is this changing? Are my 3 pages now going up to 5 pages? And I have grown businesses just by having a look at simple KPIs and changes in my goals. As simple as that, taking people from 3 pages in a session to 6 to 9 pages in a session. Then I know that we're publishing on the right platform, we're sending out the right messages, and we're marketing in the right way to get those people to come back and sign up the second time, and the second time, of course. Now, Google, I like Google. I like using Google because there's a lot of tracking softwares out there that are a pay to play. And as soon as you stop paying, you lose all the data. Like there's Wicked Reports, $450 US a month, etc. And they use UTMs and all of that. And I have a UTM training in my free analytics training on the website. And trust me, for $5,000 a year US, just go and learn UTMs and use them in your data, and then segment out those clicks, and you will have that data for free forever. So, and that's the thing. Google wants you to use their tools. Yes, it's for their benefit, for AI, etc. But you get to pay someone like me, a tracking specialist, who'll come up and set. And sometimes you just need a bit of work at the beginning, a bit more work in the middle, and then retainer work for the rest of your business life, so that you can actually build up your data so that it becomes an asset for your business, which is the whole new focus for businesses, is that even the small business owner, especially if you have a niche, you can use your, setting up your analytics as an extra asset in your business to use at times of sale or refinance, etc., for validating to bank owners, banks. Anyway, now normally it would use analytics. So Analytics and Google Tag Manager stay the same. Analytics it stores your clicks. Tag Manager can filter out, clicks that aren't, the people who just aren't into you. You can actually not tag, you can put them not in one of your journey tracking formulas that I set up in Tag Manager. You can ignore those. They're not into you. They don't get into the retargeting audiences at all. But the thing that's changed in the past 2.5, 3 weeks is that GA4 has come out. So GA4 is going to be the new version of Universal Analytics, the current analytics setup. And it's the reporting is going to be more around analysis. And that is kind of what Data Studio does to a certain degree. So GA4 can be used by businesses who only need a certain amount of tracking for the lifespan of their business. And you will be able to create some awesome reports, find answers to the questions, the key people in your business, the content marketer, the SEO, the salesperson, etc. You can do that all from GA4, but you will need GTMs still at some degree to set up better events within GA4. But these are the tools. There's Google Optimize, BigQuery, etc. But we're just going to keep it really simple because we're talking about how to use Google Analytics and setting up segments and goals so that you can get to the basics of this without needing Google Tag Manager. What if Google Analytics is all you have, and how you're going to set that up? Because as I said before, having analytics set up properly is really key. It's like having the foundation of your house done on sand or cement. So you want to make sure that you've got the correct views, and make sure that you look at using it as a tool to grow your business, especially in the first 2 years of your business. Now, there's two different types of filters in Google Analytics. One of them is permanent, and they're in the view channel in the back end of your analytics. And I will show you that when we're going to flip over to analytics and do some demos over there. But they're permanent. And what segments are like temporary filters, and you can have a look at your existing data. If you've been in business for 2 years and you haven't done any segments or funnel tracking yet in your analytics, you can actually set this up so that you can see where people are dropping off, especially if there hasn't been any too much change in your website design over the past 2 years. If there has, you need to make a note of when you change certain things so that you'll identify where the data starts to become inaccurate and not reliable. But the main things we use segments for, which is going to blow your mind and be super cool, is in funnels. So you want to use your funnels to go. So if you we're going to build the funnel in the goals first, and then show you how you can do it in filters. And they're built a different way. Like step 1 in segments for doing funnels is you build all 4 pages or 3 pages, whatever your 7 pages if that's your funnel. And then every next step that you do, you delete the last step. So step 4, delete it for step 3. Step 3, you delete it for step 2. Step 2, you delete it for step 1. We're going to do that demonstration in a minute, so you'll be able to see that a little bit clearer. Now, goals are not retroactive. So the day you build your goal is the day from that moment forward. If people go through your funnel, then you'll see the data from that day moving forward. So they have 2 clear environments that you would use them in. So if you're just starting out, start with your goals, but build up your segments anyway. But definitely start with your goals so that you can start curating that data. So we're going to do this live in a minute, but this is just a basic example of how you build a segment. And we're going to use sessions, and we want to, the key thing to notice is step 1, step 2, step 3. So you want to just, you'll see this button, add step, and that's what you want to add. In certain steps, there might be 2 actions that happen. So you want to say, there's a way that you can do this and that. And then, of course, the thank you page, wherever that is. And then, of course, you then go delete step 3, delete step 1 to create the other segment steps. Now, goals, this is, I think, where most people can start confidently and just see some cool reports out of the box. So we're going to talk about destination goals because I love them, and and you're going to get a lot of, we'll be able to build a really cool report from this that you can use and get it build and then save it as a report and then refer to it every Monday. So a destination goal, just as it is usually what you would use on a thank you page, on a cart thank you page, or a cart view page. Any of the key pages that you want to say they're engaged. If they've added things to cart and they've gone to a cart page, you would set this up as a destination goal called engage. So I usually put e.cart. And then here you would have destination equals to /cart and whatever else is at the end of that permalink if there is anything. And then you would always verify the goal before you save to make sure that it's correct, and then save it. The funnel goal is you will have your end page that you would think, and normally you would use this as a success, like someone has done something, filled out a form, bought something. So what you do is this is where you will map out what you believe is the customer journey in your business. So we will have the thanks as the end goal. So, and remember, whatever you set this up here, that's going to influence how these are written. So we have thanks here, we've turned on the funnel, and we're going to flip this to required. And so then what you do is you make sure that the first page here is where the funnel starts. Normally it's a home page, and then you put the next state, and then it will just say then you can add as many pages in your funnel to that, and it looks really cool in the goals funnel visualization report. So what we're going to do is we are going to, so these are some goals that I've built from using the basic GTM, Google Tag Manager setup. And what I do is I set some tags that create low, medium, high engagement triggers. And then what we've done is, this is not custom to analytics, this is with some Google Tag Manager customization done. But what we do is we set up those segments. This is a segment, sorry. We set up those segments across here, and then we will load it in the landing pages. And how we use this report is that we will find out how many people went from low to mid to high, and then you will notice the drop-off rate from 65% to 43% to 28%. So we have almost a 40% drop-off from low engagement to high engagement, and that will be different for different pages. And it's a really good report. I love this one. So, and then once you've built it, you go over into the top right hand corner here and it says save, and you will just name that report and save it. So the next time you come back to Google, you will come into the customization section over here, and that's where you will see your report waiting there. Now, if you haven't listened to this book, he is fantastic. Always Be Testing is one of his great taglines. I love it. He talks about segmentation a lot in this book. It's, even if you've been in business for a while, this is a really good book to listen to. Normally, in analytics, when you come in on the first time, you will land on the home page. When you open up analytics, this is what you're going to see. And I have just set up this account, so there's new stuff in it. So there's, not much. Oh, Venezuela. So what we want to do is up here is where you're going to see your reports. I don't have any reports yet, but now we're going to build some. So let's start making some goals. So over here in the back end, you will notice 3 columns. You have account. That is usually, it's like the parent account. Like it's like the parent. And then under here, you would put all your different websites. But because GA4 has happened, we have created GA4 as well. So we've done another training on how to set up your analytics account, and in there you will see that they automatically sign you up to a GA4, and then you have to ask to set up the Universal Analytics, the old one. And I would definitely do that because GA4 is not going to be market ready until the middle of 2021. It's November 2020 this at the time of recording. So yeah, there's still a lot to be done over there, but it is going to be a fantastic tool for you to use, especially if you set it up now, and then as the tutorials come out and things, see on its homepage, it just gives you so much more information. But the problem is at the moment it is it is limping along, but it's changing so much every day. So for now it's nice to have, but don't touch it. So anyway, we're going to go back over to our Universal Analytics, and we're going to set up in goals and segments. Heartbreaking notification is goals are no longer going to be available over into GA4. They are going to be called conversions and events. But we will do a training on that further down the track once it's settled down and gotten developed to the point where it's going to stick. So the first destination goal we're going to set is one of the key pages on my website that I want to know how many people are seeing it. So I'm going to see, this is definitely, if they get to this page, it means they're engaged. They're definitely thinking about, talking to me at some level. So I'm going to go Zoom meeting, Zoom booking. So, and then I'm going to go destination, and I'm going to put this here. So do that / there. And I like using regex because it just, it's the way I do things. And you want to just test it. There's not enough data in this account. So, and if you're not sure, just change. I always like to just test it and make sure there's nothing. Yep. So just leave it like that, and I'm going to save it. But normally you will see a percentage there when you've done, when you've got enough traffic going through. The next one we're going to be building is just a basic funnel. So I'm going to go engaged, Zoom, booking, and I always like to call them funnels. So because if you, then you'll know one is just a plain destination goal, and for me that's a naming convention that I work with. And so for me, and when I look at it, I'm going to go, yeah, that's what's happening with that. So I am going to do that, and remember, whatever you set this as here, you can have contains or begins with or equals, you know, but then as long as you do this, it will apply the same down the track. So I'm going to go have home, like as in down the track being the funnel. And oh, you know what I forgot to say? This is another good tip, right? Before you go and build a goal like this, this is why I've set up my segments, right? You can just go and validate. When you look at it, you want to go, see how it's populating data there? So I'm going to, and that's what I've done there. I've got page contains, and I'm doing that as my setup of that. So I know that if I come over here and I do this same funnel over here, yes, my same funnel over here, I used the wrong analytics. So engaged, Zoom booking, funnel. Then I know that how I build it over here, it doesn't have contains, but you'll have begins with. So, and I want to do my funnel, and I'm going to go home. And so what I've done to show you how the funnel works out is I've just clicked on the funnel and done a right click to show, so that I can easily grab the pages after that. And then I need to mark that as required, and then I'll go services, page, and see how I do that there, I do that there. It's really consistent. It does need at least 7 days of data, and it doesn't have that as yet, but you will see a certain percentage of conversion going through. That's it. So that is it. That is a funnel built. So to come and have a look at what you've built and how it's going to look once you push some data through it. And remember, it's going to, need, I'm going to put that there. And then what's going to happen? It's going to need some traffic to go through it. So what you then have is this funnel. And if I have my thank you page, and I do have my thank you page for it, then I would build that after it. Actually, no, I tested it. I don't have a thank you page for that. But normally what I suggest is, if you can, add a thank you page to the final, but this was for Acuity, and Acuity already has their pop-up, so I can't change that. So what you would then do is there is a way that you can add a thank you page as a final step. There's other ways I can track this, but this is just to show you how to set up a funnel goal. Now, what you want to do is, to make sure that you don't have to remember how to do this again, you want to go in here, you want to say services funnel. And then once I save that, next time I come in, and if I want to see it really fast, then I can actually come over here and look at my saved reports, and voila, it's there. All right, so the next part of our training, we're going to go over and set up another cool report to save and check on a regular basis. So we're going to go here. I'm going to add that here. So let's have a look at how I built this again in detail. So normally how you would build a segment, you'd go plus, new segment, and then you can choose conditions. So how I did the high, mid, low is that I've got these variables set up in analytics. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and it's going to go mid over there. And then what you want to do over here, which is really important, especially if you're working with a few analytics accounts, if you've got if it's just your business and you've got a couple of views and it's just one analytics account and you don't have to worry about changing it, and then leave it in the first one. But if you are actually if you have a couple of businesses and you don't have analytics set up for all of them and you end up building lots of segments, then you kind of want to make sure that it's only available in this view with people that you invite to this view. So that would be my next, that's what I would do for this one. So just because, but you want to make sure that it's giving you data over here, because as soon as this updates, you know this is actually working. And normally what happens is when you start to type that in, the blue copy or this will start to pop up. So you know there's definitely data there because Google is recognizing what you're trying to say. So that's how we would do a segment. So now what we're going to do is a segment that sequences, which is how you would do your funnel. What you want to do is you want to, Google, I swear to God, when it's updating, it can be a right pain. So what you want to do here when you're setting up a booking funnel or any kind of funnel for your website, there are some key elements in this part that you need to pay attention to. Sessions is great. You do not want to use users because that doesn't always give you information that you can use. You want to use the sessions, not necessarily users, because it's already filtering users over here. So when you're looking at a page, you want to make sure that you use page. Now, Google doesn't, Google likes to make you scroll, so it doesn't necessarily give you what you want straight away. So you've got to go scrolling through that. So if I go, step 1 is my home page, and then I add a step, and then I'll go, and I'm hoping that an update coming up will mean that it will just copy that you're doing page, that one, and yes. And what you want to do is you want to just make sure this is updating. It's been kooky lately and it doesn't update until I click out of it. So that's sometimes what happens. You just kind of build it, save it, come back to it, check it, or even see that it's doing this at the top there. So I'm going to go onboarding Zoom meeting. You always got to test how you build things. And then you want to go AA step 3 test. So I'm going to go save, and as I save, normally this updates over here, but it has been a little bit kooky of late. And so see how it starts to populate there, and it's saying, yep, you've got data. Don't ask me why. I'm just saying it might be a GA4 conflict that's happening. So what I want to do here, and I want to come over here, I'm just going to delete that one because I don't need it anymore. Now, with goals, you can't really delete them. You can edit them and repurpose them. With segments, you can. So I'm going to, oh, I didn't remove that before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish setting up these segments for me, because I need it. And what happens is this is really cool because segments are a key way to build out reports in analytics. So for me, this is a no-brainer to do. So you want to go ads and analytics, step 2 because I've got 2 steps in it. And then when I build out my funnel over in GDS, it will give me just my funnel to kind of come in and show me where I'm losing people. So I will go and see, once you build more goals, you're going to be able to see them over here. So you just do all goals, and once you set up Google Analytics tracking, e-commerce comes in there straight away. So, and then you'll go, I'll come here and I'm going to do step 1. And that is just removing that. It's saying 15% of my users. No, that was the old. No, it is 16.7. Oh yeah, no, that's the old one. See how it's still keeping that data in there? It's just being a little bit glitchy at the moment, but that's okay. We love you still, Google. And of course, that's like a duplication. Oh no, it's not a duplication of the first one. Oh, it is. People are going to the first place. First page only. So that is something that you would want to save as a report, and you'll go, ads, analytics, SM steps. So I'm source medium and my steps. So that one is now saved over in my reports. There's other cool reports that we can build in analytics, and there are so many goals that you can build in Google Analytics. Let me see. Goals, limit, Google Analytics. I would just see. 20. So there's 20 goals per view that you can do. And sometimes for businesses, you will make 3 or more views. These are my basic views that I show you how to set up in my Set Up Your Google Analytics training. But for now, that's a wrap for my segments and goals training. I really do hope that you dive into doing better analytics for your business, because I believe that it is the fastest way to make sure you don't become a statistic of people who don't succeed in the first 2 years of their business, and you can shorten your growth trajectory. Thank you for watching and sticking to the end. I know sometimes analytics can be a dry thing for people, but I love it. I think it's a great tool for being smarter in business. Okay, see you next time.